Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. You have Alyssa Corum here, and I am joined by Ed Carson. We're going to break down the action for the major indexes. Nice up day, a little bit of relief from the big slide that we've seen over the last couple of sessions. We're going to get into the details. But first, Ed, give us a breakdown of the interesting stocks that we're going to be analyzing today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Allie. We're going to take a look at Taiwan Semiconductor, Amazon, and Lululemon.
All right, fantastic. But first, we have to check in on those major indexes. Like I mentioned, a strong up day. We had the NASDAQ closing up about 2.7% off of session highs, but still close to the highs for the day. And we also had the S&P 500 up 2% and the Dow up 1.6%. So a green day all around. What do you make of it, Ed? I think one takeaway for me, at least in this market, is expect the unexpected. We never want to try to predict, but this was definitely positive. What happened today? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, it was positive. Look, it was really important that we bounced from the 50-day line. We did that. We had fallen 10% in 3 days, almost exactly 10% in 3 days, really a sharp drop. We got above yesterday's high, which is nice. We're still below the 21-day moving average. Right now, it's not just the NASDAQ, but the S&P, leading stocks, they're generally holding their 50-day lines, so that's positive. But the volume appears to have been quite a bit lighter than on these down days. So it doesn't just a huge amount of, moves. Is this a one and done kind of situation? Or could we don't know if this is the beginning of a real strong rally to highs, if we're going to be choppy back and forth, if we're going to go right back to lows and then some. So it's nice, but it doesn't tell you a whole lot. It's just one day.
Yeah. One day is not your tell-all for what's going to happen next. So we will, of course, stay flexible with what tomorrow brings. And we're going to check in on a couple of stocks. Taiwan Semiconductor is among the names that we've been focusing in on lately as it holds up. Consolidating here, had a nice update today, up about 2.7%. And also, I think we liked the look of how the relative strength line looked on this weekly chart as well.
Yeah, nice move on the weekly chart. You can see how tight the action has been. It can look a little messy on a daily because this also trades in Taiwan, so it tends to gap up, in little increments, but it may not look as clean. At the end of this week, it will have a flat base, and as you could have seen on that other one, it was at the 10-week line almost. And if we traded sideways for another week or two, that'd be positive. And this is really ideal when the 10-week line rebounds to you, moves up to you, rather than falling to it. A lot of the stocks we've seen have, and like the NASDAQ, have plunged to the 10-week line. This is a lot more attractive. Stable action. This is a real leader. It makes chips for everyone. AMD, NVIDIA, Apple. So it is a major player out there. Basically, I think the world's most valuable chip maker out there.
So it sounds like the best chance to get in on this one is if we see that 10-week line coming up to meet the stock, market conditions improve a little bit and see a strong rebound off of that level, potentially actionable there for investors.
And it could be a place where you start and then wait for, if the market continues to improve and it looks good, then breaks out of a flat base, that might be a place to then fill out a position. So there may be a way you could just nibble at it without jumping whole hog. But, if you do make any buys with this or some other things, just be ready to get back out. This market could swing. It's very much in flux.
Exactly. We have that yellow caution light out there. Proceed with caution. Be careful out there given the current market conditions. And next, we want to check in on Amazon. Speaking of stocks pulling back to their 50-day lines, this one looking a little different than the weekly on Taiwan Semi with some wild action and mirroring the market a little bit. But Amazon seeing a bounce today, up almost 4%.
Up almost 4%. It did hit resistance at the 21-day line, but it did get above sort of the initial buy point. It's sort of it's sort of like the meat of that area. That's really what we sort of thought of as the real buy point, because that's where almost all of the trading had been. There is the official buy point that's still a little higher. If you bought because of the rebound off the 50-day, it's sort of within the base, or if you bought it because it went over the buy point, you could sort of size your position toward that 50-day line. But again, this market could turn right around and do that. So I just think you have to be hesitant. If you do go in with new buys, just be very cautious about it.
And know where your line in the sand is. Always a good reminder of that, especially when it comes to stocks that gap down on their earnings. If for some reason, you had a really low cost basis here and you decided to hold Lulu into earnings, this is the risk that unfortunately comes sometimes. These post earnings moves, Lululemon, investors not all too happy today with the stock down over 7%, Ed, and shares gapping below that 50-day. What do you make of the action?
Below the 50-day line, below the prior buy point, which just a few days ago, it looked really extended from that. And it's, the recent action, probably people should have sold at least some of their, if they had bought at that recent breakout, they probably should have sold a lot of their holdings, if not all, because it was coming down and this exact risk can happen. Now, a gain that was, I don't know, a really sizable gain, 23%,
Yeah.
something like that, is now negative. If you bought it really far down, maybe in one of those areas, yeah, that would have been, then you could have still held it. I mean, now going through the 50-day line like that, you have to see the end of the week, how it responds on a weekly basis. Right now, it looks like a decisive break of that 10-week line. And it's just an issue, especially when the market's in this kind of attitude. It's going to punish any kind of news. So you want to have a big cushion in there. You might think you have a big cushion and then the stock drops 10% and all of a sudden you don't have such a cushion anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Well, investors, as always, need to be following the rules, but especially when we do see a big shift in the tone in the market, that just warrants further being cautious and really paying attention to what's happening in the market.
Yeah. And that's what we're covering every day with IBD Live. We looked at all these stocks today. Again, we're trying to get at it, talking about this on Lululemon, Taiwan Semi, we named it IBD stock of the day. So we're really trying to focus on the top stocks, but you really have to be careful right now.
Yeah, and you can check out IBD Live by visiting investors.com/IBD Live if you have not yet. Join in on the conversation, our daily morning live stream where our experts are sharing their screens, talking about their strategies and what they're doing in terms of handling their big winners in this rally, what they're doing now. Arusha was talking about how he was handling perhaps some rebounds off of the 50-day and the team more broadly as well. So a lot of interesting stuff that we cover every day. Every day is different. Every day is interesting and brings surprises. I think it's safe to say that we've yet to have a boring day on IBD Live.
No, and there's no way tomorrow is going to be. I can't imagine it. So
Exactly.
That'll be a lot of fun tomorrow morning.
Yeah, very pivotal week as we've been mentioning. So make sure you join us there and back here tomorrow. We'll see you then.